Right, so apparently there's this new animated series that's been taking the internet by storm for the past month or so. Although if you clicked on this video, then I'm guessing you already knew that. That series is The Amazing Digital Circus, created by Gooseworks, produced by Glitch Productions, and watched by me. Unfortunately, I formed some opinions while I was watching Digital Circus, at 3 AM with my roommate as God intended, meaning now you guys get the displeasure of hearing them. So anyways, what's up my guys and gals, it's your boy Tyromaniac, back with another smoking hot video, and today I'm talking about the Amazing Digital Circus.
Yo! Do you like adventure, activity, wonder, danger, horror, pain, suffering, agony, death, disease, death, angel food cake? Ow! You parasite!
I figured most of you guys would already know what Digital Circus is if you're clicking on this video, but I put a link in the description just in case. All caught up? Good, because I'm gonna do a summary anyways. Brought to us by the team who made Murder Drones and the woman who made the Meatball Man, long may he reign. The Amazing Digital Circus tells the story of a bunch of human souls trapped inside a circus that is digital and also controlled by Kane, our AI ringmaster extraordinaire. The main idea with the pilot is that a new human named Pomni gets airdropped into the digital realm and immediately spends the rest of the episode trying to find a way out. We get to meet all our other characters, go on a nice little adventure for no other reason than that we were told to, and of course contemplate the psychological consequences of endlessly chasing an unattainable goal that leaves you with nothing but a broken psyche and a sense of existential dread. You know, fun for the whole family and all that jazz. Anyways, now that we're all caught up, why don't we start getting into some opinions, starting with...
Do you think pairing them up together is a good idea?
Of course I do. They're the two most mentally stable and capable characters to be paired together.
If you've been even remotely connected to any form of social media over the past month, then you'd probably already know that to most people, the characters were the best thing Digital Circus had going for it. Honestly, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't one of those people, so I guess that might as well be what I talk about first. So then, who's my favorite? Who am I kidding? You don't even need to ask. It's Kane. Kane is the best part about Digital Circus, and I am not ashamed to say it. It's kinda hard to explain, but explaining things is also kinda my job, so I'm gonna do it like this. What makes Kane so great is that he bounces between every extreme on the emotional spectrum on a complete whim with no rhyme or reason. One minute he's having the time of his life putting on a good show for the audience, the next he's a complete wackadoodle fueled by a mix of ADHD and psychopathy, and the next he's just kinda existing without a single thought running through that tooth-filled head, and it's goddamn hilarious. Another added plus is that same randomness that makes Kane so funny also adds another layer of mystery to the story. There will be times where he does or says something that'll make you genuinely question if what you just saw was actually important to the story, or if it was just Kane doing a bit. It makes it genuinely hard to tell if Kane is an active antagonist in the world of Digital Circus, or if he's just along for the ride like everyone else. Speaking of bad segues, I just remembered that there are in fact other characters, so I should probably talk about them too. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Jax. I like Jax. The way he just constantly acts like a dick for no reason other than he finds it entertaining is honestly just one of the most debased things I've ever seen. I don't really know how else to describe it. Man's just out here actively making things worse for everyone else, and I 100% support him for it. That said, we do get hints that it might all just be an act he's putting on to help him cope with the situation he's in. Sure, he's all smiles and laughs when everything's going smoothly, but the minute something becomes a problem for him, like Kaufmo abstracting or the Gloinks pestering him, he switches up fast. It adds a nice bit of depth to what would otherwise be a one-dimensional character. Then there's Ragatha, who acts as a kind of contrast to Jax's douchebaggery. To me, she kinda seems like the mom character, if that makes any sense. The mature one who's always looking out for everyone and making sure they're doing okay. The interesting part with her character is that it almost feels like she focuses on looking out for everyone else a little too much and then forgets to look out for herself. I think the best example of this is that even after she had her encounter with Kaufmo that left her looking like my old laptop trying to run Minecraft, she still takes the time to make sure that Pomni's doing okay. Again, it's a nice bit of added depth that helps her character stand out. Oh, and speaking of Pomni, it's actually a bit harder to get a read on her than the others I mentioned. Most of what we've seen so far is just her struggling to deal with the fact that she's stuck in the digital circus and being obsessed with trying to find an exit. We haven't really gotten much else besides that, and watching her desperately trying to hold her withering psyche together. To be fair though, this is only the pilot episode, and she is the protagonist, so I'm sure we'll get more from her as the series goes on. Honestly, with everything we've seen so far, it looks like Pomni, Jax, and Ragatha are going to be the emotional heart of the series, our central trio if you will. And that's where the problems start. Having a big cast, especially one as big as Digital Circus has, is always going to be a tough balancing act. There's only so much screen time to go around, and you've got to make sure your main characters get enough time to have full character arcs, while also making sure your other characters get enough time to actually, be characters. Again, I know it's only the pilot, so we're probably going to get more later down the road, but for right now we don't really have a lot to go off of with Kinger, Gangle, or Zooble. Don't get me wrong, I still like them as characters. Watching Kinger teeter on the brink of insanity while just kind of vibing the entire time is hilarious. I think Gangle's whole shtick with the comedy and tragedy masks is pretty clever, and also a metaphor for how happiness comes and goes but depression sticks with us. And Zooble... well, I like Kinger and Gangle. This channel is a safe space for Zooble haters, and no, I won't elaborate. I'm getting off track. Point is, every character has a lot of potential, but if the writers aren't able to strike that perfect balancing act with handing out screen time, then we might not get to see them live up to it. I'm sure the writers will be able to find some sort of solution, but if they aren't careful, then it could still easily end up being the series' biggest issue. In the end, it all comes down to the writing. Speaking of which...
And here we have the grounds! Drown yourself in the digital lake!
I'm gonna be entirely honest for a second. I think the story might be the weakest part of Digital Circus. Not saying the story is bad, mind you, just that it was the least impressive out of every aspect of the pilot. Now if everyone could kindly put the pitchforks down and let me explain. You see, since this was the pilot episode, and most of the runtime had to go towards introducing the characters and the world of Digital Circus, they didn't really have a lot of spare runtime to spend on showing the direction the story is going to be going in. To be fair, that was kinda expected. It is just the pilot after all, so I don't really hold it against the writers, but it still means that we don't really know what to expect going forward other than the obvious. I feel pretty confident saying that Pomni's obsession with the exit doors probably isn't going anywhere, and we're going to dive deeper into the mysteries of Kane and the Digital Circus. Other than that, though, all we really have to go on are the little hints we got about certain character arcs. Take Jax, for example. Based on everything we see in the pilot, I'd say that as the series continues, we're gonna see him kinda drop the whole asshole act and start actually treating his friends like they're his friends. We could probably make a pretty decent guess for Ragatha too, and say that the built-up stress from always looking after the others might come to the surface at some point, which will turn into something the others have to help her through. Then there's Pomni, who's probably the most obvious. I mostly see her continuing to break down mentally, as she desperately searches for an exit with zero success like some kind of clown-faced Sisyphus. As for all the others, I see an abstraction in Kinger's future, but no idea otherwise. I could also be horribly wrong about all of those, but I guess we'll find out, won't we? Speaking of being wrong, I don't want to make a full theory video on Digital Circus yet since we barely have any information to go off of, but there was one little thing I kinda wanted to talk about. You see, towards the end of the episode when Pomni was running through the Amazing Digital backrooms having her little breakdown, that CNA logo sitting there on the wall all ominous-like really caught my eye. I know this theory has been done to death by now, but I really do think this has something to do with the biblical story of Cain and Abel. If you don't know the story, heathen, Cain and Abel were the two sons of Adam and Eve, with Cain committing the first murder by killing Abel. Something about God liking Abel more and Cain being jealous, I don't know. Anyways, given that the company initials are literally C and A, and that the Digital Circus has an AI ringmaster literally named Cain, my guess is that at some point before the events of the pilot, there might have been another AI ringmaster named Abel. We know Digital Circus isn't above making religious parallels, seeing how the final scene of the episode is literally a parody of The Last Supper, with Pomni playing the crucial role of Jesus Christ. Is it blasphemous for me to say that? Not any more than it is for Gooseworks to make it, so I'm probably good. Either way, I'm gonna jump the shark even harder and say that by using the biblical story of Cain and Abel as a reference, I'd say that at some point in the past, Cain ended up getting rid of his counterpart because he was jealous for one reason or another. Maybe Abel was a better ringmaster, or maybe he was more liked by the humans, or maybe the creators of the Digital Circus gave him some sort of priority status, something along those lines. Bit of a stretch, I know, but better to say it and be wrong than to not say it and be right, you know? I mean, that'd just be a bad look. And speaking of looks...
An insect collection?
I think it's a nest.
Alright, so the last thing I want to talk about with Digital Circus is all the visual stuff. You know, the animation, the atmosphere, the character designs, all that fun stuff. First and foremost, everything looks good. I mean, it was made by Glitch, so if nothing else, you at least know that everything is going to be nice to look at. That said, I'm going to focus more on the character designs, since that's the part where I feel like I have the most intelligent opinions, if you can call them that. So yeah, I do like all the character designs, but I also feel like some don't fit the actual characters as well as others. I think Jax and his mischievous self being shown as a rabbit is pretty fitting, since rabbits in cartoons are usually shown as troublemakers. I mean, my roommate's instinctual response to seeing Jax was to compare him to Bugs Bunny, so there's that. I think Ragatha's design fits pretty well too, since her being a doll gives off this comforting vibe that goes pretty well with how she's always looking out for everyone. As for the others, my feelings get a little more complicated from here. With Gangle and her comedy and tragedy masks, I feel like her personality was more built off her appearance as opposed to the other way around. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I also don't know if it works as well as Ragatha and Jax do. As for Kane, Pomni, Kinger, and Zubul, I think their designs look good for sure, but I also don't know if they really fit their characters all that much. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing, and I can't really imagine them looking any other way. It's just that you get the feeling that the design came before the character, if that makes any sense. Man, I feel like I'm talking about the characters too much in this video. I should probably talk about something else, like the animation, or the set design, or the character designs again. Doesn't really matter, honestly. I'm gonna make the same point about all of them. So basically, everything about the show feels like it came straight out of a cartoon or an early video game. The character designs are full of personality, even if that personality doesn't match the characters they're attached to. The backgrounds look like they came straight out of an N64 game, and the animation is super exaggerated and, well, cartoony. I mean, sure, it makes everything look visually appealing and all that junk, but it also really helps to complement the overall comedic tone of the show. Seeing everything being all bright and colorful, all the movements being wacky and exaggerated, it just puts you in the mood to laugh. While I'd say that's an overall positive, it does have the unfortunate effect of making the more serious moments less impactful. It's not an extreme issue since most of the serious moments still landed, but it's also kinda hard to take a character seriously when they look like this, you know? Either way, that's about all I've got to say. Let's get to wrapping things up.
This is where your living quarters are, as well as all sorts of other activities. These activities may include...
Caught on to the title scheme I've got going on yet? Sorry. I mean, so far throughout the video, I've said a lot of good things about Digital Circus, and I've said a lot of not so good things about it. So, what do I think overall? Well, you could probably tell already, but I really like it. There are a lot of things that I think could use some work, sure, but I think the series has enough going for it that I'm really excited to see where it's going to drag us all kicking and screaming next. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my review for the Amazing Digital Circus, because oh boy has it been a while since I've made an actual review video. If you disagree with anything I said, or just have something that you want me to explain a little bit more, then pay that old comment section a visit. If not, then I guess that's it for this video, so remember to light up that like button, smoke that subscribe button, drop a big old comment, check out some of the videos on the left, and I will see you guys in the next video.